morning, Mr. Covington.
Good morning.
I just want to ask a few questions to clarify the testimony that you just gave the jury.
Okay.
Now, something that you just said a moment ago was that when you arrived on April 17th to the center table at the Black Bear, you were there with Miss Bancroft, correct?
Yeah, I was.
And you brought a briefcase, correct?
Yes, I just gotten out of work.
And Miss Bancroft brought a briefcase.
Yes.
And they looked identical, correct?
Yes, we happen to have some of the same briefcases, but I have many, so.
Now, Mr. Covington, a moment ago on direct examination, you said that when you were sitting at the table and Bancroft said to you, "Shall we do this?" you said, "I think we should." Isn't
Yes.
that correct?
I did say that.
And on direct examination, you said that that was referring to the vote for the casino, correct?
Yeah.
Mr. Covington, Ms. Bancroft said, "Shall we do this?" correct?
She did, yes.
And Ms. Bancroft isn't actually involved in the voting process for the Midlands Gambling Commission, is she?
No, she's not, but she's going to be the one running the casino, so if I voted for her, then we'd both have to be part of raising this casino.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Covington. Now, I want to move on to something else that you brought up on direct examination. Now, you're familiar with a bank statement that you had laying in your office, correct?
Yes, I am.
And you would recognize this bank statement if I showed it to you?
Yes.
Permission to retrieve evidence, Your Honor? Go ahead. Thank you. And permission to approach the witness. Mr. Covington, that's the bank statement that was in your office, correct?
Yep.
And in this bank statement, it records all of the transactions that occurred from April 1st to April 17th, correct?
Yes, it does.
Now, if you'll look with me, and Your Honors, if you would like a courtesy copy so you can follow along. If you'll look with me, every single one of your transactions from the 1st to the 17th is under $100 besides withdrawals. Is that correct?
Yes, that is true.
And if you look at April 17th, the transactions are actually for over $1,000, correct?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Covington, correct me if I'm wrong, you deposited $200,000 the same day that you did those transactions, correct?
Yes, as I said earlier, that just happened to be the day that I put in some winnings.
Right, so the same day that you received $200,000, you spent more than $100, correct?
Yes, I mean, I won a bunch of money. Why not spend some of it?
Right, you
Objection to
actually...
relevance.
Your Honor, this line of questioning is going to show the irregularity with Mr. Covington's spending. If he spends very little money throughout the month of April until he receives $200,000, that goes towards the prosecution's theory that this money was actually a bribe that he received and that he would take that bribe and spend much larger amounts of money after receiving it.
Covington's spending expenditures don't relate to him taking a bribe at all.
I'm going to allow the question because the bar for relevance is very low. So, but if it does not go towards what you're saying it's going towards, then I will entertain another objection.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Covington, the same day that you received $200,000, you spent actually $2,500 booking tickets and hotel reservations, correct?
Yeah, that's true, but I didn't have a ton of money in my bank account before then.
Well, Mr. Covington, actually you had just received $155,000 after going to the Black Bear, correct?
Yes, that's true.
So you did have quite a substantial amount of money in your account.
That's your opinion.
Mr. Covington, you did have over $100,000 in your account before receiving $200,000, correct?
Yes, I did, but that's not all the money to me.
But it's still your testimony that you neglected to spend over $100 until you received that $200,000 in cash, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Now, I'd like to also point your attention to the total at the bottom of the bank statement.
All right.
Can you read that number for me?
$335,000.
And then if I could direct your attention to the closing balance at the top of the bank statement. Could you read that for me?
$247,000.
Now, that's a difference of about $88,000, correct?
Yes.
So, Mr. Covington, is it your testimony that from April 17th until April 20th, when that statement was closed, you spent over $90,000, didn't you?
I did, because me and Miss Bancroft went out.
And you spent that after receiving the $200,000, correct?
From my winnings.
Thank you, I can take that back. Now, Mr. Covington, it's also your testimony for the court today that you received that $200,000 in winnings, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And it's your testimony that you just happened to receive that gambling money the same day that the prosecution is alleging you received a bribe from Ms. Bancroft, correct?
No, not the same day.
The
They had
17th,
been laying
correct?
around, the money had been laying around at my house for a while. I just happened to put it in on that day.
Mr. Covington, I'd like to ask you about that. You say the money had been laying around for a while.
Yes?
Did you win it on April 6th?
No, not necessarily.
But you did deposit a large amount of money on April 6th, correct?
Yes, it lays around my house for a while. That's why Stacy happens to see it a lot. Oh,
Sorry, could you explain?
my stepsister. I didn't mean to say Stacy.
Yes. So Mr. Covington, just for the clarity of the court, you're alleging that this $200,000 was gambling money that you deposited in the bank the same day that the prosecution is alleging a bribe took place. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
No further questions, Your Honor.
This time, the defense wishes to excuse our witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a very nice day.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense rests our case in chief, and we ask for a brief 5 to 10 minute recess before the prosecution starts their closing arguments.